Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And now Chapter 13, The Vital Force of the Universe. From the first canto, 8th chapter, 30th text of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya kartur atmanaha tiryanishishu yadasu tad atyanta vidambanam. Translation. Of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend among animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. The Lord is the all-prevailing super-soul of all existence, and yet He appears in the form of a boar among the animals, in the form of a human being as Ram, Krishna, etc., in the form of a rishi like Narayan, and in the form of an aquatic like a fish. Yet it is said that He is unborn, and He has nothing to do. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than Him. He has manifold energies, and everything is performed by Him perfectly by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. All these statements prove without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power. And because He is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in Him. Therefore, no one can calculate Him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but He can be easily understood by pure devotees because they are intimately related with Him. The devotees therefore know that although He appears among the animals, He is not an animal, or a man, or a rishi, or a fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. Kunti addresses Krishna as Vishvatman, the vital force of the universe. In everyone's body there is a vital force. That vital force is the Atma, the living being, the living entity, the soul. It is because of the presence of the vital force, the soul, that the whole body works. Similarly, there is a supreme vital force. That supreme vital force is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, where is the question of His taking birth? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9, the Lord says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham puna janma naiti mam eti sojana. Which means, quote, One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun." Unquote. In this verse, the word divyam especially indicates that the Lord's appearance and activities are spiritual. And elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, "Ajo pi san avyayatma." The word aja means unborn, and avyayatma means not subject to destruction. This is the nature of Krishna, whose transcendental nature is further described by Kunti Devi in her prayers to the Lord. In the beginning of her prayers, Kunti Devi said to the Lord, "You are within and you are without, but still you are invisible." Krishna is within everyone's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam riddeshe rijna tishtati sarvasya chaham riddhi sanivishtaha. Indeed, he is within everything, even within the atom. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. Krishna is within and he is also without. Thus Krishna showed Arjuna his external feature as the Vishvarupa, the gigantic cosmic manifestation. This external body of Krishna is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There, the hills and mountains are described as the bones of the Lord. Similarly, the great oceans have been described as different holes in the Lord's universal body, and the planet known as Brahmaloka has been described as the upper portion of his skull. Those who cannot see God have thus been advised to see Him in many ways, in terms of the material cosmic manifestation, according to the instructions given in the Vedic literature. There are those who can simply think of God as being great, but do not know how great He is. When they think of greatness, they think of very high mountains, the sky, and other planets. Therefore, the Lord has been described in terms of such material manifestations, so that while thinking of these different manifestations, one can think of the Lord. That is also Krishna consciousness. If one thinks, "This mountain is the bone of Krishna," or if one thinks of the vast Pacific Ocean as Krishna's navel, one is in Krishna consciousness. Similarly, one may think of the trees and plants as the hairs on Krishna's body. One may think of Brahmaloka as the top of Krishna's skull, and one may think of the Patalaloka planetary system as the soles of Krishna's feet. Thus one may think of Krishna as greater than the greatest, Mahato Mahiyan. Similarly, one may think of Krishna as smaller than the smallest. That is also a kind of greatness. Krishna can manufacture this gigantic cosmic manifestation, and he can also manufacture a small insect. In a book, one may sometimes find a small running insect smaller than a period. This is Krishna's craftsmanship. Anur Aniyan Mahato Mahiyan, from the Katha Upanishad 1:2-20. Which means, he can create something greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. Now human beings have manufactured the 747 airplane, which according to their conception is very big. But can they produce an airplane as small as a flying insect? That is not possible. Actual greatness, however, is not one-sided. One who is actually great can become greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. But even the great things men can manufacture in the modern age are still not the greatest things man has created. We have information from the Srimad Bhagavatam that Kardama Muni, the father of the great sage Kapila Dev, manufactured a huge plane that resembled a great city. It included lakes, gardens, streets, and houses, and the whole city was able to fly all over the universe. In that plane, Kardama Muni traveled with his wife and showed her all the planets. He was a great yogi, and his wife Devahuti was the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, a great king. Kardama Muni had desired to marry, and Devahuti told her father, "My dear father, I want to marry that sage." Thus Swayambhuva Manu brought his daughter to Kardama Muni and said, "Sir, here is my daughter. Please accept her as your wife." She was a king's daughter and was very opulent, but when she joined her austere husband, she had to serve so much that she became lean and thin. In fact, even with insufficient food, she was working day and night. Thus Kardama Muni became compassionate. He thought, "This woman who has come to me is a king's daughter, but under my protection she is not receiving any comfort. So I shall give her some comfort." Thus he asked his wife, "What will make you comfortable?" A woman's nature, of course, is that she wants a good house, good food, fine garments, good children, and a good husband. These are a woman's ambitions. Thus Kardama Muni proved to her that she had received the best husband. By yogic powers, he created for her this great airplane, and gave her a big house, with maidservants and all opulences. Kardama Muni was merely a human being, but he could perform such wonderful things by yogic powers. Krishna, however, is Yogeshvar, the master of all yogic powers. If we get a little mystic power, we become important, but Krishna is the master of all mystic powers. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that wherever there is Yogeshvar, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all mystic powers, and wherever there is Arjun, who is also known as Partha or Dhanurdhara, everything is present. We should always remember that if we can keep ourselves always in company with Krishna, we shall attain all perfection. And especially in this age, Krishna has incarnated as the holy name. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 17, text 22. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "Nam nam akari bahuda nija sarva shaktis, tatrapita niyamita smarane na kalaha," which means, quote, "My dear Lord, you are so kind that you are giving me your association in the form of your holy name, and this holy name can be chanted in any situation," unquote. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting Hare Krishna. One can chant Hare Krishna anywhere. Children, for example, also chant and dance. It is not at all difficult. While walking, our students take their beads with them and chant. Where is the loss? But the gain is very great, for by chanting we associate with Krishna personally. Suppose we were to associate personally with the President. How proud we would feel. Oh, I am with the President. So, should we not feel very much proud if we were to associate with the Supreme President, who is able to create many millions of presidents like those of this world? This chanting is our opportunity to do so. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Etadrashi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi, which means, quote, My dear Lord, you are so kind to me that you are always prepared to give me your association, unquote. Durdaivam idrasham mihajini nanuragaha, which means, quote, But I am so unfortunate that I do not take advantage of this opportunity, unquote. Our Krishna consciousness movement is simply requesting people chant Hare Krishna. There was a cartoon in some newspaper that depicted an old lady and her husband sitting face to face. The lady is requesting her husband, chant, chant, chant. And the husband is answering, can't, can't, can't. So in this same way, we are requesting everyone, please chant, chant, chant. But they are replying, can't, can't, can't. This is their misfortune. Still, it is our duty to make all such unfortunate creatures fortunate. That is our mission. Therefore, we go into the street and chant. Although they say can't, we go on chanting. That is our duty. And if somehow or other we place some literature in someone's hand, he becomes fortunate. He would have squandered his hard-earned money in so many nasty, sinful ways. But if he purchases even one book, regardless of the price, his money is properly utilized. This is the beginning of his Krishna consciousness. Because he gives some of his hard-earned money for the Krishna consciousness movement, he gets some spiritual profit. He is not losing, rather he is gaining some spiritual profit. Therefore, our business is somehow or other to bring everyone to this Krishna consciousness movement so that everyone may spiritually profit. When Krishna appeared on earth, not everyone knew that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although when there was need, he proved himself the Supreme Godhead, he generally appeared to be just like an ordinary human being. Therefore, Shukdev Goswami, while describing how Krishna played as one of the cowherd boys, points out Krishna's identity. Who is this cowherd boy? Shukdev Goswami says, Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya. The impersonalists meditate upon the impersonal Brahman and thus feel some transcendental bliss. But Shukdev Goswami points out that the source of that transcendental bliss is here, Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. And therefore the transcendental bliss that the impersonalists try to experience by meditating on the impersonal Brahman, in fact comes from Krishna. Shukdev Goswami says, here is the person who is the source of Brahma Sukha, the transcendental bliss that comes from realization of Brahman. A devotee is always prepared to render service to the Lord. Dasyam gatanam paradaivatena. But for those who are under the spell of illusory energy, he is an ordinary boy. Maya shritanam naradarakena. Ye yata mam prabadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna deals with different living entities according to their conceptions. For those who regard Krishna as an ordinary human being, Krishna will deal like an ordinary human being, whereas devotees who accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead will enjoy the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, the object of the impersonalist is the Brahma-Jyoti, the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme. But Krishna is the source of that effulgence. Therefore Krishna is everything. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Yet the cowherd boys are able to play with that same Krishna, the exalted personality of Godhead. How have they become so fortunate that they are able to play with him? Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya tasyam gatanam paradaivatena mayashvitanam naradarakena sardam vijaru krita punya punja. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 12, Text 11. The cowherd boys playing with Krishna are also not ordinary, for they have attained the highest perfection of being able to play with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How did they achieve this position? Krita punya punjaha, by many, many lives of pious activities. For many, many lives these boys underwent austerities and penances to achieve the highest perfection of life, and now they have the opportunity to play with Krishna personally on an equal level. They do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that is the nature of Vrindavan Leela, Krishna's pastimes in the village of Vrindavan. Not knowing Krishna's identity, the cowherd boys simply love Krishna, and their love is unending. This is true of everyone in Vrindavan. For example, Yashoda Mata and Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's mother and father, love Krishna with parental affection. Similarly, Krishna's friends love Krishna, Krishna's girlfriends love Krishna, the trees love Krishna, the water loves Krishna, the flowers, the cows, the calves, everyone loves Krishna. That is the nature of Vrindavan. So if we simply learn how to love Krishna, we can immediately transform this world into Vrindavan. This is the only central point, how to love Krishna. Prema pum artho mahan. People are generally pursuing dharma, artha, kama, moksha, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disregarded these four things. He said, these are not what is to be achieved in life. The real goal of life is love of Krishna. Of course, human life does not actually begin until there is some conception of religion or dharma. But in the present age, Kali Yuga, dharma is practically nil. There is no religion or morality, and there are no pious activities. And therefore, according to Vedic calculations, the present human civilization does not even consist of human beings. Formerly, people would care about morality and immorality, religion and irreligion, but with the progress of Kali Yuga, this is all being vanquished, and people can do anything without caring what it is. Srimad Bhagavatam says, and we can actually see, that in Kali Yuga, about 80% of the people are sinful. Illicit sex life, intoxication, meat-eating, and gambling are the four pillars of sinful life, and therefore we request that one first break these four pillars so that the roof of sinful life will collapse. Then by chanting Hare Krishna, one can remain established in a transcendental position. It is a very simple method. One cannot realize God if one's life is sinful. Therefore Krishna says, Yesham tvanta gatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridha vrataha. which means, quote, persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Unquote. From the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 28. The word antagatam means finished. One can engage in devotional service if one has finished with his sinful life. Who can finish with sinful life? Those who engage in pious activities. One must have activities, and if one engages in pious activities, one's sinful activities will naturally vanish. On one side, one should voluntarily try to break the pillars of sinful life, and on another side, one must engage himself in pious life. If one has no pious engagement, it is not that one can become free from sinful activities simply by theoretical understanding. For example, the American government is spending millions of dollars to stop the use of LSD and other such intoxicants, but the government has failed. How is it that simply by passing laws or giving lectures one can make people give up these things? It is not possible. One must give people good engagements, and then they will automatically give up the bad ones. For example, we instruct our students, no intoxication, and they immediately give it up, even though the government has failed to stop them. This is practical. Param drishtva nivartate. If someone isn't given good engagement, his bad engagements cannot be stopped. That is not possible. Therefore, we have two sides, prohibition of sinful activities and engagement in good activities. We don't simply say no illicit sex, no intoxication, and so on. Mere negativity has no meaning. There must be something positive, because everyone wants engagement. That is because we are living entities, not dead stones. By meditation, the impersonalist philosophers try to become dead stones. They think, let me think of something void or impersonal. But how can one artificially make oneself void? The heart and mind are full of activities, so these artificial methods will not help human society. Methods of so-called yoga and meditation are all rascaldom because they provide one no engagement. But in Krishna consciousness, there is adequate engagement for everyone. Everyone rises early in the morning to offer worship to the deities. The devotees prepare nice food for Krishna. They decorate the temple, make garlands, go out chanting, and sell books. They are fully engaged 24 hours a day, and therefore they are able to give up sinful life. If a child has in his hands something that he is eating, but we give him something better, he will throw away the inferior thing and take the better thing. So in Krishna consciousness, we offer better engagement, better life, better philosophy, better consciousness, everything better. Therefore, those who engage in devotional service can give up sinful activities and promote themselves to Krishna consciousness. Activities intended to promote all living entities to Krishna consciousness are going on not only in human society, but even in animal society also. Because all living entities here are part and parcel of Krishna, but are rotting in this material world, Krishna has a plan, a big plan to deliver them. Sometimes he comes to this world personally, and sometimes he sends his very confidential devotees. Sometimes he leaves instructions like those of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna's incarnation appears everywhere, and he appears among animals, men, sages, and even aquatics. Tiryan Nirshishu Yadasu. For example, Krishna even appeared as a fish incarnation. Thus Krishna's birth, appearance, and disappearance are all bewildering. Tad adyanta vidambanam. We conditioned living entities transmigrate from one body to another because we are forced to do so by the laws of nature. But Krishna does not appear because he is forced. That is the difference. Those who are foolish rascals think, I have taken my birth in this world, and Krishna has taken his birth here also. Therefore I am also God. They do not know that they will have to take birth again by the force of the laws of nature. One may have been given the chance to have a very beautiful body in a country where one can live in opulence and receive a good education. But if one misuses all this, one will get another body according to one's mentality. For example, at the present moment, despite so many arrangements by the government for good schools and universities, the civilized countries of the world are producing hippies, young people who are so frustrated that they even worship hogs. But if one associates with the qualities of the hogs, one will actually become a hog in his next birth. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Nature will give one a full opportunity. All right, sir, become a hog. Such are nature's arrangements. Prakriti, nature, has 3 modes, and if one associates with one type of mode, one will receive his next body accordingly. Krishna's appearance and disappearance are meant to put an end to the living entity's transmigration from one body to another, and therefore one should understand the greatness of the plan behind Krishna's appearance and disappearance. It is not that Krishna comes whimsically. He has a great plan. Otherwise, why should he come here? He is very much eager to take us back home, back to Godhead. That is Krishna's business. Therefore he says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Which means, quote, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. From the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 66. All of us are children of Krishna, God. And since we are unhappy because of taking material bodies for repeated birth, death, old age, and disease, he is more unhappy than we are. Our situation in the material body is not at all comfortable, but we are such foolish rascals that we do not care to do anything about this. We are busy trying to arrange for temporary comforts in this life, but we are neglecting the real discomforts of birth, death, old age, and disease. This is our ignorance and our foolishness, and therefore Krishna comes to wake us up from this ignorance and take us back home, back to Godhead.